All right. Hello, everybody in social media land. Today's something to think about is on the topic of don't forget who put it there. Don't forget who put it there. Yeah, that sounds good. Um, so I think about people always remember who invented something, especially if it's something you're passionate about. You look at like think about this. If I was to ask you who invented the light bulb, some of y'all would say Thomas Edison. Somebody who's passionate and knowledgeable might mess around and say, well, while Thomas Edison invented the rudimentary light bulb, it was Lewis Latimer, a black man, who invented the carbon filament, which allowed for light bulbs to burn for hours and days as opposed to burning out in minutes. So it was basically his invention and redesign of the light bulb that laid the basis for modern day light bulbs and interior home lighting in general, right? And you're like, dang, that dude know a lot, right? But if I'm passionate about it, I'm gonna remember who invented it, who put it there. You ask an architect who Frank Lloyd Wright is, they'll tell you. You ask somebody who's passionate about, I don't know, army supplies and weapons and things like that. They know who Anatoly Kalishnikov is, who's the inventor of the AK-47, right? You ask a car person who invented electronic fuel injection. They'll probably tell you when it was designed, when it was first debuted in a car, because they're a mechanic, they're a gearhead, they're going to be about that. So I say that to say this. Many of us are passionate about the power we have. We'll quote Proverbs 18 verse 21, and sometimes we'll misquote it, but we'll quote it, and that's and the first half of that verse goes what? Death and life are in the power of the tongue, are within the power of the tongue. So we'll say that as much as to say, well, my word has power and I can speak life into something, and I can cancel something out. Or we'll talk about I'm the image and likeness of God, or we'll quote, Jesus stood up in the synagogue and quoted Psalm 83, ye are God. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that Bible story, and then we'll go to Psalm 83 and talk about ye are gods, you are children of the Most High. So we'll be passionate about this level of power that we have, right? We're passionate about it. We research the power we have. But what we can't do when we're talking about all that power, when we're running around talking about, it says in the Bible that if I'm righteous, I should decree a thing and it'll be established unto me. Or Jesus told Peter that whatever you bind in heaven, whatever you bound on earth is bound in heaven, whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. Or will be, I got the power to cast out this and to speak that and to do this, and we're so passionate about this power. But we cannot forget who put it there. Just as much as we'll know who invented the light bulb or who invented the assembly line process, making the ability to mass produce cars. We'll know who invented open heart surgery. We'll know who invented all these things that we find important in our lives, and we're willing to flex our intellectual muscle in telling people who invented this, who invented that, who made this, who put this there, who put that there, who built that, who constructed this. But why is it when it comes time for us to talk about our personal power, sometimes, just sometimes, we forget who put it there? You didn't make yourself in the image and likeness of God. You didn't put the power of death and life in your tongue. Whose child are you? You're not your own child. I don't want to forget whose power it really is. It ain't my power. The power comes from God. The power is God's. God put the power in me. God is the source of the power. God sustains the power. God allows me to have access to the power. So I can talk about my personal power and talk about, oh, all I need is a little bit of faith, and I can tell that mountain to get out of my way. I can tell that mountain to move itself from here. I can tell that mountain to cast itself into the sea. And because I got that faith, it will. Who gave me the power to have that faith? I didn't self-create that. It came from God. So I challenge us today, and I challenge myself just as much as I would challenge you. is while you are trying to remind yourself of the personal power you have, the control you have over yourself, over your life, and the ability to speak life, to call things as though they are when they're not and they shall be, to decree a thing and have it established for you, to sow and reap, to give and to receive, to do all of these great things. I challenge us to never forget to give proper due respect, worship, and praise to the one who put it there. Don't forget who put it there. Don't forget the inventor of power itself. If we can remember who invented the light bulb, we for darn sure can remember who invented us. That's something to think about.